the response of the People's National Party, PNP, to that incident in which, among other things, 2 reporters were told they were not welcome at the party's headquarters. In a chaotic scene with the word rape tossed in there somewhere, the response is as disturbing as the incident itself. Good day, I'm Franklin McKnight, and this is the 71st episode of the Frankly Speaking Jamaica Podcast. Winnie Anderson Brown speaks of her joy in the bookstore, and Desmond Richards looks at reported changes to the cabinet and says, that's not enough. Please like, share, and subscribe to this podcast. We encourage your comments on the channel too. Now, to my commentary, frankly speaking. I really thought that the PNP Deputy General Secretary Dexroy Martin would have departed that post following Monday's events. Let's briefly refresh your memory about what happened. The continued controversy in the PNP over the selection of Alfred Dawes in a St. Catherine constituency flowed into a protest in which some of those opposing Dr. Dawes turned up at the PNP's executive meeting on Monday afternoon at the headquarters. Reporters were assigned to get there over this important developing story. It transpired that efforts by at least 2 reporters to speak with Vice President Michael Phillips on the dispute over Dawes' selection did not go down well with the Deputy General Secretary, Dexroy Martin. In addition, he was offended that 2 of the reporters were wearing green. The female reporter from RGR said she felt under attack and suggested that she would take her leave of the scene. Frankly speaking, you can't see Mr. Martin's body language from this audio clip that is about to be played, but it was said to be abrasive and cocked.
No, we can speak on the matter. He's not the Deputy General Secretary.
Yeah, but I would like
No,
to
but
speak
he
to
can't
Mr. Phillips. I'm sorry, sir.
But
I'm
he
going to
can't
excuse
talk.
myself.
But he's
No,
ladies and
I'm going
gentlemen
to
here
excuse
today.
myself.
And I'm sure he has the power to talk to the media if he so
Why
chooses.
he's attacking me? I don't know why he's attacking me, and I wasn't addressing him.
Green clothes, man.
Leave to come out here with my green clothes? I'll wear anything. This is a free country.
Excuse me. No, man, go.
I wear anything. This can't be the climate. This can't be the climate.
But you know, see how loving it is.
This cannot be the climate.
No comment is on this one. Why are you forcing it? You're not going to get a comment today.
You cannot tell me who to speak to, sir.
No, I can't.
Why are you walking?
On the PNP premises. On the PNP premises.
Can you also get the police to escort me?
No, you're on the police.
Get the police to escort me. This man is attacking me.
Or tell us that, or say we can.
But you can't know.
The incident showed very little regard for freedom of the press and expression on the part of the PNP operative. As to the antediluvian attitude to the color of pieces of clothing worn by reporters and identified with the now governing political party, the less said, the better, frankly speaking. Mr. Martin was representing the PNP at the material time. What he displayed to the country was terrible. Frankly speaking, his circumstances were not helped by the fact that during his back and forth with the reporters, PNP supporters said Martin's attitude and manners were generally less than desirable. He later apologized, something that to me from a distance seemed less than adequate, even if genuine. I thought, frankly speaking, that someone would have leaned against this young man, someone from the hierarchy of the party, and told him that's not the way to represent the party. It's not the way to treat professionals doing their job. It's not the way to treat a woman. That the nastiness and folly of linking people's clothing to party support died with the ugly, violent politics of decades ago. And after that, talking to by a high party official, Mr. Martin would be gone. He's young enough to return to his party, having learned his lesson about how to behave in these circumstances. Instead, we're left to believe, frankly speaking, that the party accepts this person as its potential future communicator, as the General Secretary is, or anyway tolerates his behavior. Several local agencies and institutions, including the Press Association of Jamaica, of course, deplored and condemned the action of Mr. Martin. The National Integrity Action among them said, quote, "The comments and actions should be condemned by the leadership of the party. More than an apology is needed to reassure the Jamaican public that such actions and comments are not endorsed." The leaders of this country, in fact, the general population, frankly speaking, must come to understand that any development of Jamaica, any true change from this sad path the country has been on for years now, is going to require a reset of how we interact, how we Jamaicans treat and regard each other. And that treatment with respect and decorum must come too from the political leadership of which Mr. Martin is still a part. The PNP had an opportunity out of this mess at its headquarters to demonstrate some decency and strength of leadership. It failed to take the high ground. And by the way, it should not be difficult to determine who was having the rape conversation or making a threat of rape. Surely the PNP would have cameras in the premises and also know at least the name of the leader of the group of anti-Dr. Dawes protesters who turned up at the HQ. And that person or those persons should know all who were part of the team for this planned protest. That's low-hanging enough, if you care. And now to Desmond Richards.
Yes, so after weeks of speculations, we have had news that 2 senior cabinet ministers have been have resigned, or they have indicated they have had words with the Prime Minister and they are on their way out. We're talking about Minister Hardley Shaw and Minister Carl Samuda, both of whom have spent nearly 80 years in local politics. And they have been in the cabinet for years. They have been senior cabinet ministers. Hardley Shaw is the longest serving member of parliament in Manchester. He has that record. And Carl Samuda, has the record of changing parties and maintaining his seat in the House of Representatives. Now, it is interesting to see who is going to replace these 2 ministers. How the Prime Minister and what other changes, if any, the Prime Minister is going to make to his cabinet. Now, what is a cabinet reshuffle is just a change of personnel. Now, what the country needs right now is a change of policies. What the people, policies that will impact the lives of the people. The people, many thousands of Jamaicans are suffering. The high cost of living, the crime situation, the social and economic situation in the country is putting pressure on a lot of Jamaicans. And this has been happening for years. So yes, the Prime Minister can shuffle his deck. What the country needs is a shuffling of the policies that will make it easier for Jamaicans to live, for Jamaicans to send their children to school, for Jamaicans to access medical care, for Jamaicans to access a better state, a better standard of living. So, changing names alone will not do this. And the reaction of the people in the two last public opinion polls are clear indications that they want change. Not just change of faces, change of policies. They want action that is going to reflect, action that is going to impact their lives. That is what the Jamaican people want, and we want it now.
That's Desmond Richards, journalist and founder of internet radio, Rebel Radio Jamaica. And now, Winnie Anderson Brown.
The question I was asked recently is this: are books becoming obsolete? My response: absolutely not. People are becoming far more creative in creating books. And if you really want to know the future of the book industry, see what is being created for the little children. Now look at this book, I Love Grandma. Now this is obviously created for a child. Notice the pictures, notice the colors, notice how thick the leaves are. So it is easy for a very young child to manipulate without damaging the book. Look how beautiful, look how colorful it is. It tells you that a lot of creativity has gone into not just the kinds of titles that there are and the shape of the book, but also to make sure that it is something that a child can handle safely. Safety for the book and for the child. Now, as far as adults are concerned, there are so many books out there. When I go to the bookstore, I am really excited. As a tech enthusiast, this is one of the books that I bought recently. Artificial Intelligence and the End of the Human Era, our final invention. Now that is quite exciting. What I love about books is that I am able, and I write my name all over, sometimes in the middle of the book. You'll see my name. What I love is just being able to go through and mark the book, write myself little notes, the nota bene, NB, that I put all over when there's something that strikes me. Books are here to stay. So if you're a book lover like yours truly, the book industry is far more creative. Books of all types and sizes. You can have fun in a bookstore. Books are here to stay. Don't misunderstand me. I have lots of digital products as a tech enthusiast, but I love my books, my hard copies. I love those.
That's Winnie Anderson Brown, health facilitator and educator. Thank you for being with us again for another episode of the Frankly Speaking Jamaica Podcast. Please like, share, and subscribe to this podcast. On behalf of Desmond Richards and Winnie Anderson Brown, I'm Franklin McKnight. Good day.
Bye.